everyone. Welcome to It's Your Money. I'm Joanne Morgano, and I'm joined by my co-host, Martin Salzman. As always, and as usual, we have a great show for you. We have a returning guest, and that's Lou Scatigna. He is the president of AFM Investments, and he's also a big podcaster, and he's called the Financial Physician. So we're going to talk more about Lou and to him, and get his thoughts on a lot of different things that are happening in the market. But first, Martin and I will do the market roll for you.
Well, of course it's an exciting guest. It's my business partner, right?
I know.
Yeah, so anyway, Happy New Year to everybody, if we didn't say that also. You know, we're off and running. The markets don't stop. The volatility's crazy, post-elections. So the hot button issues out there is the transition that's happening now.
With the election.
And we're going to talk to Lou a lot about that because there's so much going on there. But we also have to take a look at interest rates because it really is quite amazing that the Fed has taken a cutting approach now to interest rates, and yet the yields keep going higher. So this morning when I looked, we were nearly at 4.7% on the 10-year. I mean, that's getting higher and higher, and it's closing in on 5%. 5% to some people in the industry feel like it could be very disruptive to the stock market. So we really got to keep an eye on that. And number three, oil prices. You know, oil prices have been moving higher. It wasn't that long ago that we were at $68 a barrel. Right now we're just under $75 a barrel. And that's kind of interesting too, because you know Trump ran on drill baby drill, and you think that more supply and will affect demand. You think that oil prices might be going lower. On the other hand, he's saying that if the hostages aren't released by Hamas, well, hell's going to break loose over there. So maybe that is instability to the region that could be coming. And you know, the 20th of January is when the inauguration is. He's saying they better be released before the inauguration. So, you know, aside from that, you have anything else on the markets?
I think the oil situation has been problematic with the whole inflation situation. So, you know, the other candidate ran on the fact that store retailers were doing price gouging, but really when you look at the numbers, it was the cost of transporting goods and bringing them back and forth and all that. So, you know, we're in the winter now and energy costs are going up too. So we hope to get some relief through the Trump administration. So we'll wait and see.
We'll wait and see,
Yeah.
Aside from that, we see gold is maintaining its value
It's the highest.
at over $2,600 an ounce. Silver's been a laggard, though. It's barely $30 an ounce on silver. And again, our special guest, he's an expert on, you know, gold and metals and silver and all of that. Don't give him too much credit.
I like him. I like when he comes here.
Here's another thing, and I got to get Lou's opinion on this. So we're teeing Lou up here. Why the U.S. dollar is moving higher like this? We're at 109 now on the U.S. dollar index, and that could be a bit problematic too. So we have a lot to really talk about with Lou. Maybe we should just go right to Lou, you know?
So Lou,
instead of
Happy New Year.
messing around.
So thank you for joining us
Yeah,
again.
so Lou has been my business partner for about 38 years at AFM Investments of the 42 years that I've been in the business. And you know, we've been working together and sharing ideas and thoughts. And Lou started radio, oh my gosh, I would say it's about 24 years ago, and was very successful. A lot of clients that we have in the firm have come from the senior communities, and there's so many of them up in our Ocean County area. And then just recently, mid-year last year, Lou went to a podcast format versus staying on the radio. So I just want to welcome you to the set, Lou. Again, you know, you've been great, and welcome to It's Your Money.
Great to be back.
Thank you. So Martin teed it up a little bit. Why did you switch over to doing a podcast and leaving the radio show portion?
Mainly because terrestrial radio is dying. Right? Nobody wants to listen to commercials. If you want to listen to music, you're going to go to Spotify, you're going to go to XM satellite radio, you know, this Apple Music. You don't need to listen to radio. Also, my show was on early Sunday morning, 7 a.m. You know, so I was getting up at 5 on Sundays.
It's pleasant.
You know, after 24 years of doing early Sunday radio, I wanted my weekends back.
I understand.
I was porting the radio show to the podcast for many years, and I think I got enough critical mass there at that time to say, let's go podcast only. So, yeah, I was already there, and I already had the audience there. So once I got to the number I was comfortable with, I switched over to podcast only, and we recorded on Friday. It runs on Sunday mornings. It's still 2-hour format. It's exactly like a radio show.
Yeah, it's really, really well done.
Yeah.
And people wouldn't believe how you produce it in your own home. I mean, it's just absolutely perfect. You know?
It was a steep learning curve. When you have a radio show, you show up at the station, the light goes on, you do 2 hours, and you go home. You have the sound engineer and everything else. It takes me about 10 hours to put together a 2-hour podcast.
It's amazing.
Because I gotta edit it, I gotta mix it, I gotta put all the audio clips that I put into the show. And I don't have any guests, you know, so I have Rarely, I shouldn't say never, but I rarely have guests, and so it's all me for 2 hours. So I have to have the material. It's a lot that goes into it, but I enjoy doing it. It's very creative. I have a home studio, and
you've never had a problem with an economy of words, so
no, 2 hours may not be enough.
So we were talking a little bit about the election and some our thoughts. Tell us some of your thoughts.
Well, I'm glad it turned out the way it did. The country, I think, was going down the wrong path in so many different ways. We could spend a whole show on that. But Trump is a pro-growth president. He has been in the past. He is pro-corporation. He's for lower taxes. He's for lower energy prices. You mentioned energy before and how important that is. So the markets in November were pretty giddy about him coming in.
No question.
Not so much in December, though. You know, the market's starting to get reality a little bit because there's other factors involved than just Trump coming in. Trump is not the second coming. He's not. I mean, a lot of people think that Trump's coming back, everything's going to be fine tomorrow. It's going to be better. It's going to, I think inflation's going to come down. I think corporate earnings are going to go up over time. But I think there's going to be a difficult year or two first before all these things start filtering into the economy. It's not going to happen overnight.
You're not thinking one step back, 2 steps forward, or what have you.
I think 2025 is going to be a very challenging year for the markets. I really do. Not for anything political. It's just that the markets are way overvalued. The average family is extended. We're seeing credit card debt at the highest level ever. People are barely affording to live, if they are affording to live, and many of them are going into credit card debt. Last week it was announced that delinquencies on credit cards are up 50% year over year.
Wow.
I mean, that's a pretty significant jump.
That's a red lights flashing there.
So the average consumer is spent out, and I think we're going to see retail sales start coming down. And you mentioned before, you know, stubborn energy prices. You know, and you know, energy prices drive everything, like you said before, because it affects transport, it affects manufacturing. Petroleum goes into plastics, and we should be surprised how much petroleum is in everything. So it does drive things. You have the geopolitical situation in the Middle East that's going to have a big effect on that. I'm a little bit more optimistic about the Russian-Ukrainian situation now that Trump came in, but I'm not as optimistic about the Middle East. I think the factors in the Middle East are way too complicated, and I don't think Trump can just like wave a magic wand and everybody's going to like each other. It's not the way the Middle East dynamics work. So energy prices are going to be largely driven by what happens in the Middle East, and we'll see how that plays out.
One of the factors that I think you left out in talking about Trump is deregulation. Regulations have just choked businesses. So it seemed in the first administration that Trump had, he stopped a lot of these regulations, or at least got rid of some of them that were just choking off productivity. So that's also, I think, a big factor.
Yeah,
That's a huge factor. It really is.
And if you can comment on the tariff situation.
The tariffs, I believe, are more of a negotiating tool by Trump. It's the big stick, and it's working. I mean, you know, it was just announced this week that Mexico turned around and disbanded these big caravans that were coming to the United States because he's threatening tariffs. Same is true of Canada and other countries around the world. Now, he's going to institute some tariffs, there's no doubt about it, but I don't think it's going to be as inflationary as some people are concerned about, because I think these countries don't want the tariffs and are going to do what Trump wants them to do to avoid that.
You have to also admit, too, I mean, everybody's frustrated with the border. So now all of a sudden there's going to be a new sheriff in town again, and we're going to put an end to this flow of immigrants just coming in the country without any real checks and balances to them. So that's a major factor.
Yeah, and the big issue now is going to be terrorism. I think in 2025 we're going to see a major terrorist attack in the United States. I saw an ex-CIA higher up say that there's over 1,000 Al-Qaeda terrorists in the country right now, just waiting for the go-ahead. And I could envision a Saturday, you put your TV on and 10 different malls across the country were invaded by, 15 or 20 terrorists and killed many, many people. I mean, we saw what happened in New Orleans just recently. That was not due to illegal immigration. It was due to radical Islam, though. And, that killed 15 people. And you think about
looking back now, though, do you think that the tactic of the Biden administration to try to bring people in was for votes? But that failed?
I think that's part of it. So hopefully, thankfully, that's going to change now. The question is, how much damage has been done? Will they be able to deport criminals and mentally ill and all those people who are in here now? But they're certainly not going to deport 11 million people or 20 million, whatever the real number is. So those people have to be assimilated into the economy, into the country. And you see what's happening to inner cities, or blue cities. Their budgets are being blown out because of all the money that's needed to support these immigrants.
Sure.
Try to go into an emergency room in New York City. You'll be waiting hours and hours because they're just overrun by illegals.
Lou, I want to ask you, from all the time we've spent together, you've always been a very big advocate for senior citizens. Are there any new things in 2025 that you could share with our viewers that's, right there that can affect seniors?
Well, I'll tell you, one thing I have seen in my 41-year career, and it's very disturbing, is we have a senior citizen or retirement crisis in this country. My first 25 years in the business, when I sit down with a retiring couple, they almost never had a mortgage, right? Many of them had pensions and Social Security, and they could live a comfortable retirement.
Okay.
Now I'm seeing people come to me with very little in savings, a traditional mortgage on their house, student loans for their kids, car payments, credit card debt, and 401k balances that are not going to support them in retirement. How do you live on Social Security alone and pay debt service, let alone feed yourself and everything else? So I'm very disturbed that we're going to see increase in elderly poverty in this country like we've never seen before. And that saddens me. And when you see an 85-year-old woman at the checkout, at your supermarket, it breaks my heart. She's not there because she wants to be, right? She's there because she has to be, right? And we're going to see that too. We're seeing a lot more people working past what they wanted to work, where they want to retire, into their 70s and even 80s because they can't retire. And that's
what do you think brought that about? What changed? Is it people just seeing things and saying, I want it, and they get it? Or is it, have we gotten away from, well, if you don't have the cash, just don't buy it? You can't just put everything on credit cards? What happened?
A generational change. Exactly what you said. I mean, our parents, we're in our 60s. I don't know if you are, but we're in our 60s. And our parents didn't spend money that they didn't have. They wouldn't rip out the credit card. Many of them didn't even have credit cards until later in life, right? So we are the consumer generation. Since we were kids, we were told to buy, we were advertised to. Go watch a football game. How many times are they advertising that new car or a new truck? And we want what we want, and unfortunately, we live beyond our means. We live in bigger houses than our parents did. We have new cars every 3 or 4 years. And, people ask me, why does most Americans have little or no net worth? It's very simple. Cars and homes.
Yeah.
How we buy them and how we finance them.
Yeah.
And we do it totally wrong.
Yeah, cars are the second biggest expense that people pay.
And now you're seeing some people
children.
with $800 a month car payments, $1,000 a month car payments.
Crazy.
Right? For one car, let alone husband and wife.
Right.
And that's it. When I sit down with a pre-retirement couple and they say, we make good money, but we really haven't been able to save for retirement.
Yeah.
Well, let's figure out where your money's going. Well, you see, they both have new cars. They have car payments. They have a $3,500 a month mortgage.
You have a home equity loan.
Whatever. They're just living way beyond their means, and they're not prioritizing putting money away for the future. They're living for today.
What about college costs, too? I mean, they're just massive, and, that puts not just, say, the student, but the parent who's really trying to help the kid and fund this, and they're probably taking a home equity line to help pay
Well,
for it.
I know that's a conversation I get into with my clients. I mean, you can't take a loan on your retirement. You can take a loan for college. So a lot of times, kids, they don't know what they want to do, and these costs are so crazy. Sometimes it's better just to go to a county college.
I was on
For 2
MSNBC
years.
talking about this subject a few years back. And I said on MSNBC that college was a scam. I got a lot of nice emails from teachers and stuff around the country. It is a scam. It's gone up higher than the inflation rate. Where's that money going? It's going to DEI departments in schools. It's going to administrations. It's going to outrageous professor salaries and stuff. It's just a waste. And what are these kids leaving school with? What kind of degree? Women's studies? You know, it's how are you going to pay back 100,000 or 200,000 student loans
Yeah,
when
it's
you have a
crippling.
degree that you can't get a decent job with?
Yeah, definitely.
So
It's a
we
big
could
area.
talk about college costs and the value of college, and we even want to do a show on that, just that alone. But in general, as we concentrate on what's happening with the seniors and this generation, at the end of the day, they're spending all wrong. They're doing it wrong. There has to be more discipline. But
Definitely.
Lou, hold your thought.
Yeah.
We have to take a break, pay some bills. We'll be back with Lou Scatigna on It's Your Money with Joanna Martin.
Big Flamingo Insurance, what do you want?
Yeah, can we get the auto insurance policy?
Anything else?
Can we add an extra driver?
Number form combo, your premium comes with pickup spot 2.
Okay.
When it comes to insurance, you don't have to sacrifice service to save.
Wait, this isn't even the right policy.
Upgrade to NJM and get the 5-star customer service you deserve with discounts you'll love.
Excuse me, Mr. Rollerbird?
No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. NJM. Get a quote today.
You can be confident choosing Farmers Insurance. There's no need to knock on wood.
Perfect.
This is an unnatural amount of natural light.
Thank you.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Hey, Jake from State Farm. I want that personal price plan. So how's this for personal? I draw mustaches on players' faces when they're asleep.
Coach Reed, you don't need to get that personal to get the State Farm personal price plan. It helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Oh.
Coach, it happened again.
I'm gonna get to the bottom of this.
Call or click to get a quote today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
She found it. The feeling of finding the psoriasis treatment she's been looking for. Sotyktu is the first of its kind once daily pill for moderate to severe plaque psoriasis for the chance at clear or almost clear skin. It's like the feeling of finding that outfit psoriasis tried to hide from you, or finding your swimsuit is ready for prime time. Dad, once daily Sotyktu is proven to get more people clearer skin than the leading pill. Don't take if you're allergic to Sotyktu. Serious reactions can occur. Sotyktu can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB. Serious infections, cancers including lymphoma, muscle problems, and changes in certain labs have occurred. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, liver or kidney problems, high triglycerides, or had a vaccine or plan to. Sotyktu is a TYK2 inhibitor. TYK2 is part of the JAK family. It's not known if Sotyktu has the same risks as JAK inhibitors. Find what plaque psoriasis has been hiding. Ask your dermatologist about Sotyktu for clearer skin. So clearly you. Sotyktu.
Hi, my name is Dave, and I am Metro.
Hi, I'm Andrea. I am Metro.
Hi, my name is Josh, and I am Metro.
Hi, I'm George. I am Metro.
Hi, my name is Joe,
And I am Metro.
Hi, I'm Mark, and I'm Metro.
Hello, my name is Seven, and I am Metro.
My name is Chris, and I am Metro.
I am Michael Barretto, President and Founder of Metropolis Passenger Logistics, and we are Metro.
Welcome back to It's Your Money. We have our fabulous guest, Lou Scatigna. All these times I have trouble with this name, Scatigna. I love that name though. But anyway, we were talking to Lou about so many subjects, as you saw, the last 15 minutes of our show. But Lou, you know, Martin and I, we did a show right prior to this at the end of the year talking about some financial pearls of wisdom. Do you have any financial pearls of wisdom and some areas that maybe investors shouldn't go into and some mistakes they can work to avoid?
Well, the biggest mistake I think investors are making is not paying attention to their investments. Many people that I sit down with, they have $1 million 401k and I ask them, what's your asset allocation? They can't even tell me because they don't even know what that means. Like, what percent do you have in the stock market? What's the risk profile in this portfolio? And it's amazing. How could you have $1 million and not know that? All right, not know the risks that you have to your retirement. And due to the excessive appreciation, I don't know if you want to call it excessive, but the market's doing so well over the last 15 years, basically, with a couple of hiccups. A lot of portfolios are overly exposed to equities, and they don't rebalance them every year. And that's the smartest thing to do at the beginning of every year is to rebalance the portfolio. How much percent do you want in the market? Now, everybody has a different risk profile, but, you know, as a certified financial planner, we use 100 minus your age as a ballpark of where we want to look at, meaning the older you are, the less you should have in the market, the more you should have in fixed income and more conservative places. And too many people just avoid that. Another mistake that I think a lot of people make is they don't keep track of the scoreboard. In other words, they don't do a net worth statement. I asked somebody in the first appointment, what's your net worth? And they look at me like a dog. They don't know, right? It's very simple. Write down everything you own and write down all your debts on the other side, subtract one off the other, and you get your net worth. It's not that hard. Just take your statements at the end of the year. And I do that every year. Actually, I do it every couple months, but that's me because I'm an accountant and financial planner. But once a year, it's a good thing to do, is to look at your portfolio, rebalance it, look at the risk, do a net worth statement, and if you don't think you're saving enough, do a budget analysis. Find out where your money goes. Too many people have no idea where their money goes, but they say, oh, I can't save any money. Well, let's find out where your money goes, and maybe we can save it by cutting out some wasteful spending that you have. And people don't want to do that. They'd rather go for a root canal and sit down and look at their budget. Another mistake I think a lot of families make is one spouse runs the show financially, all right? And you need both spouses involved because ultimately one spouse is going to be left. And ultimately, usually it's the wife. And in many households, it's the husband who ran everything. We're seeing that change though now. You know, over my career, I've seen that change, and that's a good thing. I think women are better with money than men.
I think you're right. I see this too with my
Did
clients.
you have to do that?
You know, I know. I call them suddenly single women. So a lot of times, you know, they are caught off guard. So I'm glad you're seeing, you know, more of a trend where women are getting more involved.
It's a great thing. And,
because we are the neck that controls the head. That's from my big fat Greek wedding.
You know, in my book, I have a chapter on spousal teamwork. The reason why families fail is lack of spousal teamwork. Because, you know, let's face it, you know, one of us is going to die at one point, right? And it could happen suddenly, like you said, suddenly single, right? So you should keep your spouse involved. They don't have to be fully involved, but pay the bills together once a month. You know, every couple of months, review the investments. You know, just the basics of where's our money. Now, I got to say, in my household, I'm guilty of this. My wife doesn't want to know anything about it, right?
I can attest to that.
All she wants to know is that you put the card in the machine, the money comes out. That's all she cares about, right? But it's not a good thing because, you know, I drop dead tomorrow. She doesn't know where our money is.
She'll call me.
She'll call Mark.
She'll call you, Mark.
But not everybody has a business partner who's a financial advisor as well.
And also if you think the way we access our accounts, everything's digitally now if you don't get your statements. So what are those passwords? What are those digital passwords? It's really important to write that down.
You know, it's a whole nother area of settling a estate now is digital. The crypto, if you have it, or if you have passwords, shutting down the Gmail account and all the different accounts, brokerage accounts. You know, it is a very big job.
And now we have double authentication to get into things. So
but you know, a lot of people are doing now, and I highly recommend this, is to name a regular executive for your financial affairs and then a digital executive. somebody in your family
That's
that's really
interesting.
good with that, social media and digital,
that's interesting.
and
That would be your daughter.
but the thing is you should have a list of all your digital footprint, so they know where to look, and they don't have to do a forensic, investigation to find out what you have. And then it could take months for that individual to shut down all your stuff. I had to do it with my father, and he wasn't much of a computer guy, but it took a lot to do that.
Sure.
So I think a lot of people don't think about that when they do their
That's a
estate
great
planning.
point. Hey, Lou, for years we've always talked about hard assets and gold and silver and things like that. And I'll never forget how you ordered, I don't even want to say the amount, you can if you want, X amount of dollars worth of gold coins, and they were delivered to the office, and we looked at sleeves of double eagle gold coins. So I know you're such an advocate for gold and silver as part of one's portfolio. So can you talk to our viewers about that?
Tell us where these coins are.
I will say though, when I bought those coins, they were $800 and something.
Yes.
Now they're almost $2,800. So, and that tells you why people should have precious metals. It's a hedge against inflation. All right. Over those 15 years, actually, it's more like that, more than that, I think. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. Keep pace with inflation, protect my purchasing power. And as a percent of net worth, I have more than I would ever have any of my clients have. But to have 10, 15% of your investment portfolio exposed to hard assets. And what is a hard asset? A hard asset is something that's real, something that you could touch, something that you can consume, oil, food, gold, silver, anything that's real. Real estate is a hard asset, right? So hard assets do not inflate. Or deflate, I should say, as the dollar, deflates, right? They go the opposite way.
Well, Lou, stop on that note. So we were saying how the U.S. dollar index has been going up and up and up, right? And it's 109 now. Usually when the dollar goes up, gold goes down, yet gold has been holding. I've never seen it act like
But what
this.
is the dollar going up against?
Fair point.
It's going up against other crappy currencies. It's the best dirty shirt in the hamper.
Okay.
And so relative to other currencies, it's been going up, which is problematic for trade and other issues. But the bottom line is, against hard assets, it's going down because it takes more dollars, more units of currency now to buy an ounce of gold than it did last year. $600 more. Okay, and in my case, 2,000 more than in 2005 when I first bought it. So if you look at the value of the dollar, you got to look at it not against other currencies. You got to look at it against hard assets. And the movement in gold and silver, which is going to have its move, is indicative of the fact that the dollar is being debased. And let's face it, we have, 36, 37 trillion in debt. We're adding $1 trillion every 100 days, right? It's unsustainable. You can't keep doing that, and you can't have budget deficits of $2 trillion a year.
Is that the argument why cryptocurrencies became so popular out there? Because people were getting fed up with this constant growing of the federal budget deficit. So people out there are arguing that there's value to crypto. You and I can't sell cryptocurrencies to clients because
Neither
it's
can
not
I.
a security. You too. I mean, we're all in the same field, but they can buy things to track cryptos like an ETF, but we don't. I still don't understand it, and there's nothing under it. There's nothing supporting it except supply and demand.
That's right. There's a fixed amount of Bitcoin, supposedly, and the demand for it is just push prices up, like any other market. I don't look at Bitcoin as a hard asset. Okay, it's not. I can't hold it. Right? If you can't tell me what a Bitcoin is, then what is it? What happens when the power goes out? You can't hold it. Right? You can't open your safe and take out your Bitcoin. Right? So Bitcoin, I wish I owned it. I never owned one of it. Maybe it's because I'm an old codger and you can't teach me new tricks at this stage in my career. I wish I had it, but it's not something that is replaced.
Well, anybody would wish they had something that was hundreds of a dollar,
Yeah.
and it's now just under 100,000. So, of course, selfishly,
I mean, it was the best performing asset in 2024. It was up 115% or something like that, right? Would have liked to own it, but it's incredibly volatile. It's only been around for 20 years. Gold has been around 5,000 years, or actually since the Earth was created, it's been in the ground. But as far as considered a currency or a a monetary unit. It's been around forever. And I sleep good at night knowing that I own hard assets.
Plus, I tell you, it's so incredibly powerful to hold gold coins like that. It's just an amazing feeling. I mean, I just couldn't get over it when they were delivered to the office. And like you mentioned, silver one day is going to have its day too. Isn't there some type of ratio value of gold to silver? I just can't remember what that is myself.
Well, in the ground, it's 15 to 1.
15 to 1.
In the ground.
Okay.
But right now, it takes about 89 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. Historically, it runs around 25, right?
So therefore, you think
relative to gold, silver's way undervalued, right? And once I believe there's going to be gold mania. I believe that people are going to start running towards precious metals as faith in currencies, diminish. And I think silver will be the one that outperforms because it's the poor man's gold. How many $3,000, $5,000 ounces of gold can you buy? Right, not a lot unless you're pretty wealthy.
But $30,
but $50 or even $50 silver, you could always buy 100 of them, right? For for $5,000 and build it up that way. So I think gold will be too expensive for the average person, and they'll be running to silver. And plus, silver is an industrial metal used a lot in technology, defense, and stuff like that.
So with the markets, you project some volatility. What should investors do? Stay invested? Come out a little bit, put some in cash?
Evaluate your portfolio and evaluate your risk and put it to a position where if the market goes down 30 or 35%, you won't be hurt. Because I think that is the potential that we're going to see. The market has come so quick, so high, that a correction of that extent is due. Now, if you recall, during COVID, we did have that 30-something to 40% correction in the market. So it certainly has happened, and it's going to happen again.
And that's how Martin and I were discovered during COVID, because we were commenters.
That's right.
On
We were talking
show.
about how to invest in a COVID environment. There you go. We have to wrap on that, though.
We do.
We always run out of time with Lou
I
we
love
can just
having you,
go
Lou.
on and on.
Yeah.
But Lou, you did a great job.
Yeah,
Thanks
always,
for coming
Lou.
down. It's always
thank
good
you.
to hear your views. And
Yeah.
honestly, I'd like everybody to listen to his podcast
Lou,
if you could. Why don't
it's
you
great.
tell everybody how they can hear
All right,
it?
the name of the podcast is The Financial Physician, and it is held on my website, which is thefinancialphysician.com.
Perfect.
Simple.
And if somebody wants to reach you just for anything on any investment or topic, how should they reach you?
Just send me an email at lou@thefinancialphysician.com.
Perfect.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for joining us, Lou.
Always fun.
Thank you for joining us on It's Your Money. Martin, I will see you in a few more
Great job.
weeks.
Here we go.
Here we go.
We're off to another year.
Another
Season
year.
6.
Take care.
Have a great day.